Let's talk about memories. Cursor 1.0 came out and everyone is super excited about Bugbot, background agents, and all of that stuff, but there's one tiny feature that I really like, that is memories. However, it's still not perfect, still in beta, but I want to show you what it is and the things that I think that can be better. Maybe someone from Cursor is watching and they can improve it. So let's take a look. According to the release notes that you can find on the changelog, cursor.com, changelog 1.0, there you will find this memories section. And here you can quickly understand what is this thing about. So memories can basically remember parts of your conversation for the future. So you can store those memories per project on an individual level. Okay? What does that mean? It means that those memories will be mined and on that project is part of that repo. Okay, it's not something that you can share across different repos that you have on GitHub. So this one will be part of that repo. Imagine you are working on one solution, one GitHub repo. There you will have some memories. In another one, you might have a different set of memories. But how does that work and what's so cool about it? So let's take a look. First of all, you need to go to the settings, and on settings, you'll find this rule section. There you can find the memories. On memories, you can see that it's still in beta. So you need to enable it. For sure, it will have this option, something like this. Okay, you need to enable it. Then once you have memories, you can come here and show them or even manage them, for example, to throw them away. Important thing, as you can see here, it says that it's to learn your preferences automatically based on chat. Let me say one thing, maybe it's because it's still in beta, sometimes doesn't work that way from my experience. However, there's one way to force it. So it's supposed that it will understand that it should record it as memory. Let's take a look into a practical example. For example, I have this Roman numeral converter, okay? Something simple, classic TDD scenario. So on my tests, I want to ask for something, okay? Add a new test when I provide 2, for example, should be double I. Okay, let's say that. Okay, I will have a new test. That's fine. So we'll accept it. But now let's say that I don't want to use this naming convention. I want something like Pascal case. So I can say when a new test is added, name it using Pascal case. What we have here, I will modify the test name to use Pascal case instead of the current snake case format. Perfect. It has been done, so I will accept it. Looks fine. And notice that there's here one thing that popped out, and I didn't came here fast enough to see that was one rule created. If we go to the cursor settings, go to the memories, show, notice that a new memory has been created. The user prefers that any new test methods be named using Pascal case. Imagine that for some reason it doesn't pick up the thing that you are looking for. From my experience, you can force it by saying something like, please save that as a memory, okay? By saying that, it will understand the context and save that as a memory. If I come here now and I say, add a test for when the input is 0, it will have that in consideration and it will name it accordingly. The benefit is that once I start working, for example, with multiple projects inside of the same repo, for example, if I have multiple test projects, I can take advantage of this rule and I don't need to mention it anymore, even if I go to a new chat, new conversation. Now, I want to show you another cool use case. For example, I have been doing this, right? So what I want to do now is to tell him that every single time that the tests change, I want to run the .NET test. So when the tests change or a new test is created, run the .NET test command. Okay, I will run the .NET test command. He's asking for permission. I will say can do it. Okay, those tests have failed, but what we want to take a look is into the rules. So if we go to the rules, we don't have a rule for that. So what we can do is that we can say, save a new memory about running .NET Test. And now you can see the user wants the assistant to run .NET Test whenever tests are changed or a new test is created. So that means that, for example, in this case, we have the test failing because when the converting 0 should throw an argument exception. That's not true in our use case because we don't support the 0. So what we'll do is that we'll have a rule for the case where it's 0 and we want to run the tests again. Okay, we'll give him the instruction to add the card clause to the Roman numeral converter so 0 throws the expected exception. Okay, notice the change has been done and now is asking to run the tests. Okay, so we'll accept it and run the tests. And you can see that the tests succeed. Let's just try once again. For example, convert that test into a theory and then cover the scenarios for 1, 2, and 3. What I expect to happen is that since this will change the existing tests, it should propose to run the tests. Let's say it can run, okay, and they go through. If they go through, let's accept them, and it's fine. I feel that this is a great feature, but there are some things that could be improved in my opinion. For example, I would like to have memories that could go across multiple repos. For example, having memories that would only apply to a given type of project. For example, saying like, I always use this naming convention. I always want to run the .NET test. I always want to, for example, restart the server when I change something. Those type of memories could be something that I could have across multiple repos, and I hope that one day we can see them here. There's one thing that at first came to mind, that is this idea of fighting these individual memories. I thought that it could be cool to have memories being shared by multiple developers in the same team for the same project. However, I feel that those should be part of the rules, maybe, for example, in the project rules. So maybe the path would be to have something like, if I have memories, I could go to my memories and quickly say, okay, convert this memory into a rule for the project rules, for example, because I can see the scenario where I start working with my workflow. I become so productive. Eventually, I'm sharing the screen with someone and they ask, for example, how is it possible that for you, Cursor is always giving the proper names and for me is not? So maybe it's one of my memories. I can go there and say, okay, this memory should instead be a rule, part of the project, and that should be shared across the team. That could be an exciting feature in my opinion. There's one more thing that can be a problem, and I have to be honest, I still don't understand why is it this way. Maybe it's because it's still in beta and they are trying to achieve something. That is the fact that if I'm working and I have in general the privacy mode is, for example, enabled, if I now go to the rules, notice that I can't use the generate memories. Maybe I still have memories, okay. However, I can't use the generate memories. Maybe it's because of the fact that it's still in beta, that option of generating the memories. And because of that, and the privacy mode is to not share information with Cursor, maybe it's because of that. I couldn't find information about why is it disabled at the point. I don't know if it's something more than that, but it would be a bit disappointing if this stayed after beta. This is a great feature in my opinion. It's one of those things that when I start using it on ChatGPT, I quickly start seeing the advantage of having those memories, and I'm quite excited about seeing memories being generated from the conversation, especially when it picks what should be a memory and it stores it. Eventually, it would be nice for some types of users having a dialogue, for example, a confirmation that this should be a memory or not, because it might be a problem eventually. You have so many memories, especially if we come to the day where we can share them across different projects. Can be something that could be an improvement, maybe an option for the users. But this is something that is going in the right direction, in my opinion. I'm excited on having this as part of the IDE. It's just one of the features of version 1. There are others that I really like. I can have a video on them in the future. Please let me know what do you think about this, if you are excited as I am. And in the meanwhile, you might want to watch this video right here, and I will see you in the next one.